In 2011, the value of the Team Fortress 2 Mannconomy was somewhere around $50 million. That's not how much Team Fortress 2 was worth, that's not how much Valve was making, that's how much value was placed in the in-game items people were trading. It's been 8 years, oh my god, no, time flies, Jesus. It's been 8 years. So how about we see how much the Team Fortress 2 economy has grown since then? Let's not do that, actually, that was scary. It's a good question. How does a game about this and this do this? I wanted to do a video specifically about the Mannconomy, and more specifically, how it's kind of been the thing that's kept Team Fortress 2 players active even after game updates seemingly stopped, and kind of talk about what's led to where the game is now, trading-wise, specifically trading-wise. What made Team Fortress 2's hat trading economy so engaging? Well, let's take a quick look. I don't know if I need to introduce Team Fortress 2. I mean, it's 9 guys shooting each other in the desert to fight for 2 teams, both owned by one woman who works for 2 old guys who work for a burly Australian man. The 9 guys clad in red are part of red, and they're fighting these 9 other guys clad in blue who work for blue. The world has a rich history. For instance, Lincoln invented stairs, but I'm pretty sure 90% of people on PC have played TF2 by now. But what we're talking about isn't the capture points or payload, capture the flag. We're talking trading, which was added to the game in September 2010 as a means to exchange the multitude of hats and items in Team Fortress 2. Over time, players began to put value onto certain items. The 2 we're talking about in this case are keys and craftable hats. See, Team Fortress 2 has a crafting system alongside an item drop system. As you play, you obtain weapons. 2 weapons for the same class can be crafted into scrap metal, which you then craft up into reclaimed metal and then refined metal. The game had crates which you got for free and spent $2.50 to open on Mannco keys. Inside would typically be a hat, which you could also build using in-game metal, 3 refined to 1 hat. Players assigned values to these items, with keys starting about 2 refined and 1 reclaimed metal, loosely 1 refined $1, and because the chance of getting a craftable hat out of a crate wasn't a guarantee and players might unbox a regular weapon, like a strange weapon after the Uber update, or they can unbox something more worthwhile like a hat that couldn't be crafted or a 1% unusual hat with a particle effect around it, the value of a craft hat was settled to be 1 refined and 1 reclaimed, which is about 1.33 refined, which I'm just going to keep calling it that for the time being. Also, you could craft 2 hats into 1 new hat. Because each crate also had a hat, hats were half a key during the start of things because 2 crates contained 2 hats which could be crafted into 1 more hat. It's rocket science, I'm telling you. Getting metal was easy. You'd inevitably end up with duplicate weapons as you played Team Fortress 2, no matter the mode you were playing. And you could break these down for metal. Especially during 2011, no matter where you went on Team Fortress 2, you'd come across somebody willing to either buy or sell something for their metal. Craft it together, and then after several weeks of hard work, you would end up with enough metal to buy a single craft hat of your choice. Or you could save up even more to get a Mannco key from a trader, which could then get you a chance at a multitude of cosmetics. It's worth noting that this system is not loot boxes. Loot boxes would be if the crate was unlocked from the start, contained a couple items, most of which were junk or in-game currency, in this case metal or regular weapons, and you could buy more directly. The Mannco crate system is an older system which you got a bunch of free but unusable items to incentivize purchasing keys. Of course, as a broke high schooler in 2011, I didn't actually buy keys. I'd always just save up my crates, trade them for weapons, or delete them after I had too many. Besides, why use a key in a crate when I can get 2 hats for the metal 1 was worth? That was the biggest boon for me getting into Team Fortress 2 trading at the time. The value was ridiculous for 2011. You could purchase a $2.50 item for free using the in-game drop system. You could turn that $2.50 investment back into metal any time, and then turn that metal into cosmetics for your mercenaries. Keys and metal were incredibly liquid in terms of a financial asset, and save for official or competitive servers, making the trade was a piece of cake and could get on anytime, anywhere in a matter of minutes. And with the blooming number of Team Fortress 2 cosmetics, there was always new ways to accessorize your characters to give them a personal touch. You could make the medic look like a grizzled madman or an innocent German physician. You could make the scout look like a 50s greaser. You could give the demo man a kilt. A kilt! It's safe to say for a large chunk of Team Fortress 2 players, the item economy was the game. Whether you were playing to collect all of a character's cosmetics, once that was, actually feasible and not now, saving up for an unusual, getting a rare strange, maybe something truly elusive like Bill's hat, Max's severed head, maybe the hat of undeniable wealth and respect, Or maybe you just wanted a cosmetic loadout for each class. The gameplay of Team Fortress Trading was laid back and social. Servers were friendly with a very easygoing Stammtisch, and the only real skill you needed was the ability to look up prices and maybe do a little bit of haggling. This economy, though, has a problem. You might have caught that metal could be traded for keys, and there was always more metal entering the Mannconomy all the time. This stuff had no real actual value, technically, other than what people thought it was worth in keys, which have a finite monetary value. One key is always $2.50. I guess you know where this is going. Yep, as people made metal to buy keys, people were trying to get more metal per key, so the price rises. It was $2.66 for the longest time. I remember when I hit 3 refined. That was wild to me. And it was wild to so many people. And then I hit 5, 10, and 20, 50. It's not that the keys are getting more expensive, it's that there's way more players and way more metal, so metal's becoming worth less. I mean, the key, again, fixed $2.50 price tag. Metal can just be whatever. It used to be about $1. Now one refined is worth 3 cents. Yowza. Oh, and craft hats are still about 1 or 2 or so refined. They haven't gone up a lot. It might just be because there's as many hats as there is metal. Proportionally, that's my guess. So if you want to keep up in the Mannconomy, you need to quickly turn all your weapons into metal, keep stockpiling metal until you have well over a page's worth of metal, which can then become a key. But hey, on the bright side, 50 ref is 450 scrap metal, which means you could buy every weapon in the game more than 3 times over and still have room to spare. Most of the normal stranges are just a couple refined aside from things in rare crates like the original, and so a key could become a pretty spiffy loadout. I mean, it's not like they become worth hundreds of keys or anything due to the sheer volume of confounding variables behind getting exactly what you want. It's not like they added unusual fires to make unusual taunts and let cases drop unusual weapons. No, that'd be ridiculous. Valve would never do such a thing. Let's be real. Any game going this far over 9 years without a major economy-breaking bug is a miracle, and this is Valve. I mean, I guess you could say this is the Half-Life and the Portal 2 Valve. But this is also the Dota Underlords Valve, the Artifact Valve. The Half-Life 3 is such a lost cause we have no reaction to our former writer throwing his script out into the World Wide Web Valve. The our vegan soup options are only actually vegan like 3 days out of the week because we confused vegan and vegetarian Valve. Team Fortress 2 is the awkward middle child of Valve's licenses. Made right at the tail end of the strong, hard-working, uniquely fun Valve we all once knew, and worked on into the start of the silent, stoic, apathetic Valve chipping away at their esports scene while burning their money on new VR headsets every year. Team Fortress 2 has had loads of bugs, programming flaws, typos, mistakes for so long that even the training screen was busted for years. But only now has this hit the Mannconomy in a meaningful way. Trading was a fun thing to do on the side for so many players, but that became harder to do when the value of their metal began to deflate faster than Confederate shin plaster. And so now, years after my time in the trading spotlight, seeing unusuals crash so hard I can get a self-deprecating money-covered one for the price of a 5-pack of Hot Pockets, yeah sure, why not? Valve eventually did kind of fix this so-called crate depression. The first unusual you picked up during that time was made tradable. The other ones are untradeable, unmarketable. They are taken out of the economy, they only exist for you. You can refund them to get money to your Steam wallet, but that's it. One unusual per player, and Valve even only appraised the total damage as a month's worth of unusual drops. I ultimately think what made Team Fortress 2 trading fun in the first place was that it seemed attainable even as a new player. The social aspect of trading was always prevalent and I could tune it out if needed. And even if I wasn't looking to buy or sell, trade maps were always fun to explore and hang around, which made the experience of trading a very laid-back one. A far cry from the current emphasis put on competitive gaming and online shooters, even in Team Fortress 2 now. But as prices began to climb due to the instability of this market, it became harder and harder to keep up with prices, and the sheer volume of cosmetics and variables being introduced just made things that much more challenging. Ultimately, what's left of the TF2 trading core are most likely unusual owners looking to swap their hats, and a handful of people still trading guns for scrap for hats, and hats for guns all over again. But one thing's for sure, it's a much more difficult scene to bust into. Much like the rest of the surrounding game, Team Fortress Trade's scene has gone kind of stagnant, and there isn't really an easy answer as to what should happen next. On one hand, crashing the value of the market to drop the price of keys would make things more accessible, but it also devalues the items already there and makes the whole economy useless and could easily kill off Team Fortress 2, as the trade scene is kind of what's keeping it relevant in light of Dota and Counter-Strike's massive amount of support competitively. Letting prices keep climbing makes the economy less worthwhile for more users, which could whittle it down to a small handful of the absolute elite with item backpacks worth their digital weight in gold. But little of that value would get traded around, so it could be argued that it might not actually have any actual worth to begin with. Team Fortress 2, for lack of a better term, and despite what all of us want to hear, is on its last legs, both in terms of fandom but also economically. It's getting harder and harder to keep players hooked on either front, especially when the surrounding games landscape isn't interested in crates and key lotteries anymore. They've moved on to the free-to-open loot box scheme, they've moved on to battle passes and competitive rewards, even inside Valve's own games like Dota's International Battle Pass. Does this mean I want Team Fortress 2 to go the way of Loadout and Monday Night Combat? Of course not! Honestly, what it might take this day and age is a full-scale ground-up rework of Team Fortress 2 similar to the Source 2 update Counter-Strike got when Danger Zone was added. Polish up the game visually, rework how the entire item system works, salvage what you can, and introduce a new, highly dedicated team looking out for the comfort and safety of TF2's players and its complex Mannconomy. And top that off with regular, high-quality updates, animations, comics, the works. Team Fortress 2 is community-driven, it's been that for years, but that doesn't mean Valve should just sit by the wayside and leave the fandom to suffer on any front. Valve has proven they still care about some things to some extent. It'd be nice to see that caring spread around a bit to people who really need a sign Valve still cares. Look, it's been almost 666 days since the last major content patch, Valve. Get with it. Entire games have been made in that time frame. Team Fortress 2 had a very, very interesting community ecosystem that no other games really had. But it's so clear that the fans of Team Fortress 2 are burnt out on the fact that nothing's really happening with the game anymore. I think maybe what Team Fortress 2 needs is a new coat of paint. Throw it in Source 2, and like you did with Counter-Strike, maybe add a mode where everybody fights each other in elimination style, maybe a big old map with that stylized art style, and oh no, shit, fuck. If you like this video and you'd like to see more, I'd recommend subscribing. Patreon and social media links are in the description.